back to the class, and
Yes.
I want to believe you had a very nice time between the last time we met and now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Great. We glorify Almighty God for that grace. So those, if since for us to enjoy our class, please can those whose minds are still on to please mute their mic so that we can have a each free discussion.
All right, sir.
Yeah. Can we start now?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
let's start, sir.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much. Once again, I welcome you to this class this morning. And I want to apologize for my inability to be around last Saturday. I'm very sorry for that, but we're going to make up for any gap we must have created by that absence. So this morning we remember that last time we stop at techniques for building rapport. By now, you know what rapport building means in the social work balance. And today, we're going specifically to confidentiality. If you have your material, this is going to be a good reference point, a good reference place for you. On this, as the name suggests, you already know that when we say an information is confidential, you know what it means. It means that information is classified, that only those that are authorized, it means that only authorized person can have access to such an information. So the same thing applies to our practice because confidentiality is an important aspect that all social workers should uh, should actually take very, very serious. And this refers to the ethical and legal duty to protect sensitive information from unauthorized access, use, or disclosure. So in this regard, which means there are certain set of people that will be authorized to access some information from us as a professional. So in this regard, if a person is not authorized to access certain information from us, we are not bound to release such information. Of course, if we are dealing with child adoption or something related, and a court requires you to provide some information about your client, in that regard, by law or by whatever regulation that is in practice, you may be allowed to submit such information. So what we are saying in essence is that confidentiality is the act of keeping information private and ensuring that it is only accessible to those who have a legitimate need to know. So we'll now look at legal and ethical considerations of confidentiality. Why is it important? What are the implications? What considerations should we give to it? Remember, we talk about ethical consideration. We talk about code of conduct. We talk about ethics of our profession using the Chartered Act as a reference point for our discussion last time. So meaning that you have to juxtapose the legal environment where you operate with the ethical consideration in your own act. That is the act regulating your own conduct as well. So this play a significant role in ensuring confidentiality. When it comes to handling sensitive information, it is important to be aware of the following. So, one, legal framework. You need to familiarize yourself with the relevant laws and regulations where you operate, in the environment you operate. Remember, I talked about Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria the other time. I also talk about some policies and talk about some other laws that are relevant, like Child Rights Act, VAB law, or FAP Act, and so on and so forth, as the case may be. This environment must be understood very well. All these form the legal framework upon which you operate as a professional. So as a professional, you need to have the knowledge of the legal framework which guides or which forms the bedrock of your operation. So because you cannot operate in isolation. Then again, this law will specify whether some information are classified or some information are confidential, and the law will also set the standard of releasing such information. And of course, you know about what these our communication giants, the MTN and the Glo, etc. You know all of them. As an individual, if you are not the owner of that SIM, you have no access to the information in that SIM. And for any third party to get access into your database, your consent is necessary, in which case the MTN is not obliged to release your information without your consent, except such order is backed by a law that is still subsisting. So again, we talk about consent and authorization. I actually joined that with the legal framework while I was talking to you. If you as a social worker, you are a custodian of some sensitive information about your client or about the community or about the group you are working with, before you can release such information, you need the consent of that person. Because you can release data in respect of your client, you need the consent of that person as well. So this consent is very, very important, and they also you need their consent and their authorization as well. Please, sorry, Christopher, can you please mute your mic? Akitude as well, all of you, Isola, all of you that your mics are still active. Can you please mute your mics so that we can enjoy ourselves, please? Because information from your background is disturbing the class. Thank you so much for doing that. All right, I was saying that the authorization is necessary and the consent. You know, this day as social worker, even when you take pictures, when you take image of anything related to your client, before you can publish that, of course, you cannot publish without the consent or the authorization of the owner, your client. These days, even when you hold workshops, for some people, and you hold a training session for some people, and you took photographs, before you can publish that photograph, you can make it public. What you do is you obtain their consent. So these days, even from the Chartered Institute, from our headquarters, whenever we have any workshop, before the commencement of the workshop or before we start the training sessions, and we know quite well that we'll take photograph, we'll take images or video coverage of what we want to do, we'll usually distribute consent form at the client that consent. So definitely we can't go and publish his or her picture. It's not possible. Or we can't just let the public know about the image of that person. It's very, very important. It's germane. So whatever you do as a social worker, when you want to embark on that, you need the consent of your client ab initio. So again, data security. You need to take necessary measures to protect the confidentiality and integrity of data. In that case, your storage facility must be a good one, must be a reliable one that will ensure that the storage system is very, very secure. What we are saying is that your storage system must be very, very secure, and it should have encryption, it should be password protected, and there should be an access control. That is, it is not open to just anybody. So it is only those that are given access that can just get that information. Only those that are authorized can access the information as regards your data. And you should also have the what we call the regular backup. You know, even the use of our media. When you have your smartphone, your Android, you will see that there will be time your Android will pop up a notification that do you need to back up all the information that you have here. So all this, as social worker, you should ensure before you engage in any activity, or you want to start an intervention, you should ensure that you have a backup, you have a reliable storage facility that is secured. Again, we'll talk about data retention and disposal. When you store, it's not enough for you to store data, it's not enough for you to store information. When the retaining capacity of your system is not good, which means at any point in time, it can just be disposed of, or it can just be wiped off. That is not good enough. You are not protecting the confidentiality of such information. When you see the journalists, when they publish a story, they will just publish that story. They will never release the source of that story unless and until a point where a court of right jurisdiction requires such, and such to be back with a very good warrant or a very good order from a competent court. So in that case, you try to retain the data and ensure that when you want to dispose, it is disposed securely. And you retain such data as long as necessary, and it should be securely disposed of when and until when it is no longer needed. So when you work with any agency, even not government now, some agency will require you, before you do anything, you should retain whatever reports, whatever information you have about that agency or about the activities you do, or the activity you have carried out on behalf of that agency for a certain period of time. It will be required to do that. Then there is confidentiality agreement. Ab initio, with your clients, you should sign a confidentiality agreement, even with the other party, that if you have this information, this will not be disclosed as or this should not be disclosed anyhow unless authorized to do so. So you should use confidentiality agreement or non-disclosure agreement when appropriate, especially when sharing confidential information with third parties. This agreement outlines the responsibilities and obligations of all parties involved in protecting confidentiality of the information. You know, when you sign an agreement, it's like a contract, and it should be between two parties. When you have that, you try to state the terms and conditions that will ensure that that agreement remain valid. So that is what we are talking about. So you try to sign to establish an agreement or to have an agreement with third party on confidential information. Again, professional codes of conduct is also important under this confidentiality. The professional codes of conduct, like we discussed the other time, for every profession, there are codes of conduct that will guide their actions, that will guide their conduct as well. So you as a professional social worker, by now you should be aware of your professional code of conduct as enshrined in the law or in the acts that establish the institute. These codes often emphasize the importance of confidentiality, integrity, and respect for privacy. Then breach response. You know, in any agreement that you sign, while you are stating the terms and conditions, it is usually stated that when there is a breach of this agreement, at least toward the end of the agreement, it is usually stated, maybe they say about the last paragraph, or the last clause, it is usually stated that when this agreement is breached by any of the party, they state that the party concerned will be required to do this. The party cheated will be required to do this. At times it involves payment. At times it involves penalty. At times it involves forfeiting of some properties, or forfeiting some titles, or forfeiting some resources, or withdrawing certain services in case of any breach. So this is important to be given consideration while you are trying to establish confidentiality, and you want to ensure that this is well protected as a professional social worker. So what are the what importance is confidentiality in our day-to-day work, in our practice, in our own professional conduct? Then I'm sorry, Ifeoma, can you please mute your mic? Ifeoma, please. I beg you. Please mute your mic.
Come here.
All right, just a minute. If she's not doing that, I think I can mute from my hand here. I'm sorry, I just have to mute you. All right. Yes. Importance of confidentiality now. One, trust and respect. And of course, you know what respect means. When there is when you build confidentiality, this builds trust and fosters respective relationship. You know, when you have respect, it means you have regard for somebody else. You have regard for your partner. It means you accept your partner willingly without any condition. That is the meaning of regard, and that is the meaning of respect. You don't put condition before you even give your partner any regard, or before you even accept your partner as a good partner. The same thing is the relationship between the service provider and the service user, in this case our client. So when your client knows that the information he has or she has with you is secured, and you keep it to yourself, such a client build trust in your ability, build trust in your personality, and even build trust in whatever you want to do as a social worker. So it's an indication, it's a pointer to you being successful in that intervention with him or her. So when individual trust their personal information or sensitive matter will be kept confidential, they are more likely to be open and honest. They begin to be open to you. They want to divulge, they want to tell you everything, so that you are able to solve their problems, so that you because they see you as a trusted fellow, they see you as an honest person, and this allows for better communication, collaboration, support within your team and with the beneficiary or client you serve. So when that is done, so it means that you're going to achieve better. Then number two, privacy protection. When an individual knows that his or her privacy is protected, you tend to have a very good relationship. You tend to have success on whatever activity you embark on or you want to carry out. Even your intervention will be successful because such an individual will have known that you will protect his or her privacy. You know, everybody follows that. Even in marital relationship, when you cannot keep the privacy of your partner or the privacy of your spouse, it means that you are not a good spouse. It means you are not a good partner. You can't be a good partner. So the same goes for you as a social worker. You must even act beyond that marital relationship. So what you do is you try to safeguard the privacy of all your clients, and don't forget, this will ensure that we have personal, sensitive, or private information. It means that the sensitive information is not disclosed or accessed by unauthorized parties. Again,
HRO. It's here.
Again, we talk about professionalism and ethics. Don't forget, we talk about code of conduct the other time. The ethics of the profession is important. When you do that, it means that you become more professional. It means that you are displaying or you are conducting yourself as a professional, not as quack, not as novice. So when they see you as somebody that can be trusted with an information that cannot be released to unauthorized person, which means you keep their the confidence they repose in you is protected. You maintain that confidentiality, and this demonstrates to people that you are a good professional because you possess ethical conduct. Hello, Mr. Yodele, can you please allow us to finish this class? I don't know the person talking. Then again, Mr. Seyi, is it Seyi Sunday? Can you please mute your mic? So that is about professionalism and ethics. It's so that you take privacy seriously and you are committed to upholding the right and well-being of individuals. Don't forget, you are also a human rights activist. Activist in the sense that you try to protect, or let me say, you are a human rights protector. You try to protect the right of others, while you are not neglecting your own right as well, but you protect the right of others. So when you do that, it means that you are professional. Then we talk about safety and security. Confidentiality helps protect individual from potential harm. When you do not expose an individual anyhow, when you do not expose an individual information anyhow, you protect such a person from potential harm. So which means unauthorized person will not have access to his or her information, including identity theft, fraud, discrimination, and other negative consequences that may arise from the unauthorized use or disclosure of personal information. How do you think the robbers, how do you think they rob? How do you think the criminals, they burgle our houses in the neighborhood? Which means they must have had access into some of your information that test them, or your information that allows them to know more about you, to know that you are an important person, to know that you are earning very well, to know that you are worthy, to know the kind of person, to know your status, because they must have had that information. If they don't have the information, it will be very difficult for them to burgle into your house. It is very difficult for them to just have that robbery without wahala. The information is very key. That is why you see the police, they will tell you, just give us information because we are not witches. They will tell you they are not witches, but give us information, then they will act on the information. That is where what we call the intelligence comes in. You know, when they gather information, intelligent information gathering, when they get it, is what they act upon, and is also is usually a proactive action that is very, very useful. So it is important. You can see that when you protect the information of your client, you are trying to ensure that your client is secured, your client is well protected, and your client is safe at any point in time. So it is very, very important. So you don't just take it with levity that because you have access, you are privy to some information about your client, and you begin to discuss it with people that are not authorized. So you need to discuss with people that are authorized to hear about it, especially your professional colleagues, when you need additional support or when you need support from your colleagues. You need advice from your colleagues. You need guidance from your colleagues or somebody that you know more than you know. So this is very, very important. So by keeping sensitive information confidential, you contribute to the safety and security of individuals and organizations as well. Then compliance with laws and regulations. When you do that, it means that you are compliant with the laws of the land, with the laws that set up your profession, and so on and so forth. And then it means that you are also compliant with regulations that affect or that can impact, that affect the outcome of whatever you want to do. So it is important that confidentiality is often required by law or regulation, such as data protection law and so on and so forth. Then reputation and trustworthiness. Remember that you are a person. Your personality, your personality also affects your client as well. Your personality affects your client as well. When such happens, it means that you must be of good reputation. You must be of high integrity. Your clients must trust you. You must be trustworthy. If you are a professional and you are not trustworthy, it means that you have finished everything about your profession. You can't achieve. There's no way you can be successful in your practice, because if you are not trustworthy, you don't behave like others. It's not, you don't take it as business as usual. That for you to survive in this country, you need to be doing certain things in a dubious way. When you do that, you are not helping the profession. You are not helping yourself, and you're not helping the profession. Although we have bad apples among good ones, there's no doubt about it. But you should not be part of that. You should not be among those bad apples. You should be one of the good apples. When you are a good apple, definitely others will look up on you and see you as model, and they want to emulate you. So don't say this country is bad, or this country is corrupt. Therefore, there's nothing you do that you cannot do it corruptly. No, 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 no. You don't do it. If you as an individual can take it, you want to be trustworthy. You as an individual, you want to be honest. Stand alone and continue to demonstrate that honesty. Continue to demonstrate that trustworthiness. When you do it, I'm very sure others, there are people that are looking up to you. You may not know, but they are looking up to you as model. They want to look like you. They want to copy you. They don't want to be follow. They don't want to be follow just like that. Remember that, or I wouldn't know whether you know that these days, common sense is not always a good sense. It is common thing to do things in a bad way in this country. People, when you see them on the road, you see the way people drive. They drive recklessly, and they also do things in all manners, in all forms of manner, and they just do it as they wish. They will not even want to follow traffic regulation. That is why some people will even drive against traffic. When people drive against traffic, let us ask ourselves, do you also drive against traffic? When you drive against traffic, you are not a good social worker. When you see people driving against traffic and you join them, which means you are not a good social worker, because you are not allowing people, you don't give people indication that you are a true Nigerian. You are a trustworthy somebody. You are somebody that allows the rules of law to flourish. You are somebody that is also violating the laws of the land. So, which means you are not a good social worker. Remember, compliance with laws and regulations. At all times, you must comply with the laws of the land. You must comply with all regulations. But when you see people and you feel that nobody is seeing you, and you drive against traffic, what kind of example are you setting for others to see? So it is important that you allow that change to begin with you. So when others behave anyhow in their own choosing profession, you don't join the bad wagon. Don't join the bad wagon. Try and ensure that you have a good. You join. You join. You join a good wagon that will take you to the right destination. Then when you ensure that we have confidentiality, there is going to be an effective service delivery. Don't forget that we are talking about competencies and quality service delivery. So when you maintain confidence, or you try to ensure that confidentiality of your client is important, is paramount in your heart, definitely you are going to have effective service delivery. This will by creating an environment where individuals will feel safe, and comfortable. In such a manner, the outcomes of your effort, the outcomes of your activities will be amiable, and the outcomes will be so interesting and inspirational. Again, legal and ethical obligations. You try, when you do that, you are fulfilling your legal obligation. You are fulfilling your legal obligation as a professional. So that is what we have under that consideration. So confidentiality is not only a professional responsibility, but also a legal and ethical obligation that you must hold. Upholding confidentiality helps you comply with legal frameworks, maintain ethical standards, and avoid potential legal and ethical challenges. When you fail in any of this, or when you default in any of this, litigation will always await you. Because if your clients will take you up or take you to court or challenge you when you have divulged information that is known to you, my brother, my sister, you may not be at a good receiving end, because you must have broken certain terms. You must have broken the confidence. When the confidentiality, when you try to keep the confidence of your client, you try to control the access to his or her information for an unauthorized person. So that is very, very important. For example, each social workers will have their own unique login credentials to access the organization database or file system. Just like you have your smartphone. How do you protect the information therein? There are certain information that is related, those information are related to your workplace, and it should not be known to any, maybe your children or your spouses. What do? You try and password your smartphone so that your children, anybody, not just anybody, will have access to those information. So each social worker, in that respect, you are expected to have your own unique ID, expected to have your own password. That is why when you have your email, it is only you or anybody that you have given your password to that can actually access your email box. But if you are so careless that you just give your access to anybody, you give the password to anybody, you will not know when they will infiltrate that they will infiltrate your database. The same thing with the bank account that will keep. You know, every individual has his or her own what do we call it, password or your PIN. When you have your ATM, how do you log in? Even when you are using app, the Android app of your bank, if you are not so careful, if you don't keep your password very well, you see hacker will just enter into your bank account and just drain your account dry. Then we'll talk about encryption. Encryption implies that it is only between you and the person you are transmitting information with that can have access to such information. So in that way, you should ensure that that information does not get to the third party. That information does not get to the third party. For example, what we have on our WhatsApp, you will see that, I don't know whether you always read that. When you see that when you open your WhatsApp and you are trying to send message, you look at it, when you're trying to establish a contact with a new person, you will see that this message, any message you send here is encrypted, one-on-one encrypted, which means only the two of you. The information will only be shared between the two of you. Even the WhatsApp cannot even have the information. They don't have access to that information except you give them access to it. So that is what that means. Example, social worker should use a secure messaging app with end-to-end encryption when sharing beneficiary update or confidential report. Then again, the best practice is also to secure the storage. I think I talked about it the other time. You can read this up. You want to secure the storage, where you keep your data, where you keep your information must be well secured. That is the best practice. And how do you do that? you store important vital information where people cannot have just ordinary access into. Like you, if they are hard copy, you keep it in log cabinet or drawer at your office. If it is digital files containing beneficiary data, this will be stored in a password protected folder on their computer or an encrypted USB drive, so that no other person can just open the file. Then training and awareness. You should also receive training on how best to how best people can take confidentiality very, very important, and how best the confidentiality can be a best practice in our organization or in our workplace or wherever we are, or in our interaction with our clients. So it means that when you have such training, it means that regular awareness, updated skills will be acquired by you. Then again, confidentiality agreement, I talked about the other time, there should be confidentiality agreement. These are best practices that can be used to ensure that we maintain confidentiality in our practice. Then number 6, secure communication. See, when confidentiality is observed very well, the social worker tend to have a secure communication between you and your client or your service users. So you secure communication channels when you are discussing sensitive matter or sharing confidential information. Encourage the use of encrypted email services or secure messaging app with password protection, which means whatever communication you want to have, the best practice for you is to secure that communication, not communication that anybody can just have access to. You don't put it on a public Wi-Fi or whatever, so that any other person can just infiltrate and get the information that you think is secure. So which means this will be done very well. Get in touch very well. Get in touch well with experts that can do this for you, because if you do not have the skill, if you do not have the knowledge, it is not a crime. Get in touch with those that are IT compliant, that are IT group, that are IT experts that can help you do that. So that's about confidentiality. Then we'll go to advocacy. In this advocacy, I want you to know that in advocacy, social work makes use of advocacy greatly. We make use of advocacy very, very greatly. In that wise, we try to have an advocacy plan for whatever thing we want to do. So we don't even need an expert to do this advocacy for us, because we do it ourselves. It's very important in our day-to-day activities as well. And we need to know what an advocacy is and how best we can do our own advocacy without any stress. So advocacy simply means actively supporting a cause and trying to get others to support it as well. Advocacy is speaking up, drawing attention to an important issue. Advocates use every opportunity to support their cause or issue. Advocacy is a process, not an event. It is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yes, I'm coming.
I quickly want to take you to an advocacy, to an advocacy concept for you to understand more about advocacy. It's not the fact that you have not heard about advocacy, but you need to know more about advocacy, because it's very germane to we achieving our objective, to we achieving our aims of taking of giving out or giving or making up an intervention or providing an intervention for our clients. Creating an advocacy plan helps to understand the situation. When you create a plan, you get to understand the situation, the stakeholders, and their relative power, and how change happens. That is why do we have an advocacy. That will create an environment where the situation will be understood. That is the kind of project you have at hand. or the kind of assistance or the kind of intervention you want to give out to your client or to the community. When you have an advocacy, it helps to understand the situation. Then when you have advocacy involves stakeholders, because you engage on advocacy because of the stakeholders. They are not the drivers of the project, they are not the drivers of the intervention, but you just need their support. You need their own assistance in one way or the other. And you get to know their relative power and how change happens. Then you need to identify target audiences, the right messages, the right messenger to deliver the message. You identify processes, opportunities, and entry points. You recognize capacity and gaps. And finally, set goals and interim outcomes. Develop an action plan and monitor and evaluate results. So I'm trying to let you know that before you embark on advocacy, what you do is you plan. You have a planning strategy for you to embark on that advocacy. So what I'm saying in essence is that for you to have an advocacy, you need to plan. You need to identify the message. You need to identify the messenger. You need to know who will even deliver the message. What outcome do you want to have? You need to identify the gaps. What are the processes for you to even engage to get the advocacy done properly? Who is an advocate? An advocate is someone who speaks on behalf of a cause or proposal. The advocate may be an individual or an organization. Advocates use every opportunity to support their cause or issues. The purposes of advocacy. The purpose of advocacy is to promote or reinforce a change in policy, program, or legislation, rather than providing support directly to clients or users of services. Advocacy aims at winning support from others, i.e., creating a supportive environment, which means you have identified that you cannot do it alone. You are aware of that fact that you cannot do it alone. Don't forget that I said most often in social work, we work in team. That team may comprise of several professionals. It may comprise non-professionals. It may be community people. It may be family members, and so on and so forth. But the cross-cut aim or objective that you have or goal that you have is in the interest of providing intervention for such people, which means you need others for you to win. You need support of others. You can't do it alone, but you need support of others. And when they give you support, you are strengthened. You are strengthened to some extent. In this advocacy, you need to ask yourself some questions for planning your strategy. Because when you want to embark on advocacy, you plan your strategy. I will give you some examples of advocacy that have been so successful, so that you can take tips from that. But you cannot just start an advocacy anyhow. You need to plan. While you are planning your advocacy, what are the strategies? What are the questions you need to ask yourself for you to have a good strategy? One, you ask yourself, what do we want? Two, who can make it happen? What do they need to hear? Who do they need to hear it from? How can we make sure they hear it? What do we have? What do we need? How do we begin to take action? How can we tell if it is working? So these are questions you ask yourself, then you're going to develop a very good strategy. When you can answer all these questions very well, when you can answer them very well, you begin to achieve the aim of your intervention. Don't forget, advocacy is not the real intervention, but it's a strategy for you to achieve the objective of your intervention. But you need some people, you need stakeholders to support you. You cannot do it alone. If you suppose you are working on a project that is related to government agencies, you can't get information from government agency without necessarily embarking on a good advocacy to the relevant agency. So, and when you're going to go to the relevant agency, you need to plan, and you need to master your point very well to convince the head of that agency or the head of that government or arm of government to give you that support. So if you fail in that advocacy, you see, you have planted a failure in the intervention you want to have. So it is important that an advocacy is planned very well, because it is a useful strategy in achieving our objective in any intervention we want to meet out to our clients. Again, how do you build your advocacy strategy? Develop your request, just like I said, develop your request, make it clear and succinct, and provide a clear rationale and support your request with evidence, statistics, and reports. It's part of the planning, start of your strategy. You need to develop your request. Your request must be specific. Your request must be clear and must be specific. You need to set goals as well. I mean, what do you want to achieve? Like among the questions I asked in the planning stage, what do you want to achieve? What do you want to achieve by that advocacy? You ask yourself, what do we need? What do we need? What do we need? What do they need to hear? Who can make it happen? When you do that, you get to have your objective achieved. What is your desired outcome? What outcome alternative will be acceptable? You ask yourself, which one will be acceptable, like I asked in those questions. Then crafting your message. Clearly and specifically state your request. What do you want them to do? Like I asked the other time, what do you need from them? Provide a sound rationale. Why? Why do you want them to do it? You need to convince them with statistics, with good reports, reliable reports, not hearsay, with good statistics, with evidence-based report that you can just present to them. When you do that, they will just key in and they buy into your program. Then explain the implications for the beneficiaries who will be helped. If the request will cost money, explain the cost and how you expect your request to be funded. What has been your own contribution? What have you done to even warrant their help, their assistance? You need to do that. Then communicating your request. Like I said, in your planning, who will speak? How do you let them hear? Are you saying what they want to hear? Are you telling them the real situation of things when you meet them? Determine the individuals or group to whom you will make your request. Coordinate your request very well. Determine who else will notify you, who may be able to influence the outcome. Determine when and how you will do the follow-up. Then polish your message. Let your message be clear, concise, compelling, and personal. Then, of course, I talk about the stakeholders the other time. There are several people. It could be from the community, it could be from the government, it could be from NGOs, it could be from CSO, it could be the law enforcement agencies, or it could be their staff. It could be from other sister organizations as well. It could be from other how do I call it? It could be from other colleagues. You may need to have an advocacy to your other colleagues. You are sharing with whom you are sharing ideas, or you are sharing interests with. So you need to get to know who are the stakeholders that are relevant in this case. It could be your beneficiary, it could be decision maker, it could be other partners, it could be community heads, it could be group leaders, and so on and so forth. Then you connect with the stakeholders. Know who your government leaders are. Make them know who you are. Let them know how you can help them. Show them that you are a resource of information. Explain how they can help you, like I explained the other time. So what are the techniques and tactics of advocacy? Sensitizing, mobilizing, dialoguing, negotiating, lobbying, petitioning, pressuring, and informing. So all these are techniques that you make use of in your advocacy. Then what are the barriers to advocacy? Lack of comfort with advocacy process. When it is not comfortable for you to get to where you are paying the advocacy, not knowing where to start. You don't even know where to start, not knowing where to get help, and feeling that you are not expert enough to advocate. So in this regard, there are several areas of advocacy in social work that you need to make use of. We have used it at the level of the institute, at the national level. We have made use of it when we have when we have a number of projects that we share with USAID and Gender Health. We made use of it, and it was quite successful. Like I told you sometimes I told you about an intervention we had on the fistula care project in 2017, 2018. We made use of much more use of advocacy in the states where in the state of implementation. In the 5 implementing states where we operated then, we made use of advocacy, and it was so successful. We paid advocacy to government agency, we paid advocacy to commissioner, paid advocacy to speakers of houses of assembly, as well as several commissioners and head of various agencies. Because if we do not do that, or if we didn't do that, that would not make it will affect our project achievement of objective in many ways. Because what we are doing has to do with is health related and is also socially related. So Ministry of Women Affairs, because women are concerned about the fistula, so definitely the Ministry of Women Affairs is key in that aspect. Ministry of Health is also key. So both commissioners, they must be brought into the picture, they must be brought into the process of what we are doing in order for us to achieve the objective of that project, number one, in order for the project to be sustainable. Because any international agency will just come in, they will intervene for a period of time, and they leave. When they leave, the government continues, and the government is the largest owner of resources that we have, even all over the world. Government has all the resources. So the government should be brought into the picture so that the government can sustain that. They can continue where the donor agencies stop. That is the essence. That is another essence of doing real advocacy, so that the project will not just stop like that. It has to be continued. And when you are trying to set the objective of your advocacy, you set a specific objective. You set an achievable objective. You also set a realistic objective. I hope you still remember that SWOT analysis. And you also remember the SMART principle in the objective setting. Of course, you should remember that objective must be specific, and it must be measurable, it must be achievable, it must be realistic, and must be time bound. When you are setting an objective and it's not fulfilling the requirement of these 5 principles, which means your objective is faulty. So please just note that while you are doing your advocacy, because advocacy is key in giving you the opportunity to achieve the objective of your project or of any of the program you are trying to give to the community or to a group of a person. Now, finally, I want us to finish this class today, and just about a few slides. So we want to go quickly to emotional resilience. And when you look at your material as a social worker, you have an important job helping people. You know, it's very important you help people. Most often you help people without waiting for any reward from them. You don't wait for reward. You don't expect reward from them, but you continue to help them. So one important skill you need is called emotional resilience. You know, one of the important principle in social work practice is that when you are dealing with your client, you remove emotion. When you have interaction with your client, you remove emotion. You know, everybody, we are all human beings, but as a social worker, that is why you are being trained. You remove emotion so that emotion will not affect the outcome of your intervention. So emotional resilience means being able to handle and recover from problems and challenges. You are being able to handle and recover from problems and challenges. So which means along the line, while you are working, while you are trying, to practice your profession, or let me put it this way, while you are trying to profess your profession, Ayodele Ogunromo, can you please allow us in this class? Ben, is Ben? Okay, let me mute him. Okay. Now, as social worker, it is important that you possess this emotional resilience. It's an important attribute by social worker. How do you handle problems, and how do you come out of it? How do you recover from such problem? That emotion, how do you recover from that? That is the emotional resilience we are talking about. Is it the mental reservoir of strength that people are able to call on in times of need to carry them through without falling apart? You have a challenge, how do you overcome it? I know if I so ask all of you or some of you in this class today, many will have had a challenge. We will have one challenge or the other this morning, maybe from your children, maybe from your neighbors, maybe even from your spouse. It could be from your friend this morning before the class. But how do you manage that challenge? Some people will even transfer. You know, some people talk about transfer of aggression. Some will even transfer it to the class. It's not the practice. It's not a good conduct of social worker. When a problem comes, try to solve it and forget about it immediately. So that is what we call emotional resilience. You don't carry it all along. When you carry it along, you try to create more problems. You know, as social worker, you are a problem solver. That is, you should solve problems. When you solve problems of others, you should also be able to solve your own problem. You should not be a source of problem for others. You should not be a source of problem for others. So when issues arise and when challenges come along your way, you should be able to manage that challenge. That's what we are saying about emotional resilience. So resilient people are able to utilize their skill and strength to cope and recover from problems and challenges. Such problems and challenges may include job loss, financial problems, illness, natural disasters, medical emergencies, divorce, or the death of a loved one, separation, and so on and so forth. Disagreements, even disagreement in community meeting, disagreement in neighborhood meeting, disagreement in club meeting, disagreement within the maybe your society, religious society group, or among your peers, among all student associations. Are you part of that problem? Do you contribute to that problem? Even when you have that challenge, how do you manage them? Then you bring in your emotional resilience skill to ensure that that does not disturb you. Then the benefit of emotional resilience. Now let's explore some practical benefit that emotional resilience can bring to your work as social workers. By understanding and harnessing this benefit, you can develop the necessary skill to thrive in the face of adversity and make a positive difference in the lives of those we support. Don't forget, our focus on the life is on those we support, on those who assist, on those who are trying to intervene in their affairs, on those we are determined to raise their standard of living, on those who want to make life more meaningful too. So these are the benefits. Better coping with stress, increase problem-solving skills, enhance adaptability, improve well-being and mental health, positive influence on others. Look at it, better coping with stress. You know, when you try to have emotional resilience, you cope with stress. Your stress is reduced because the challenges will not be there for you because you want to overcome, you handle that challenges professionally and you overcome it immediately. So when you do that, your stress will reduce and it will not lead to more stress for you when you have emotional resilience. It helps you to handle stress more effectively. It allows you to stay calm and composed in challenging situations. So when you face difficult circumstances as a result of secondary trauma, such as limited resources or high pressure situations and so on and so forth, your emotional resilience enables you to manage your emotions and think clearly. It helps you stay focused on finding solutions and making the best decisions because you manage stress very well. Then increase problem solving skill. Your problem solving skill will increase. Your ability in this life will we are bound to have problems, we are bound to have challenges, and we are also bound to overcome it. We are also destined to overcome such challenges. You ask the successful people today, ask them today, what has been their journey? They will tell you about their ups and downs. They will tell you about the challenges they had. They will tell you how they overcome that challenges. But we only see them publicly. We only see them in the surface and feel that everything was on platter of gold. It is not like that. So the same thing for any professional. A successful professional today must have gone through so many challenges, must have faced so many challenges, and must have overcome such challenges. His or her ability to handle such challenges makes him the person we are seeing today. So your problem solving skill will also be improved, and you get to gain more when you handle problems well. You handle it professionally with the quality of emotional resilience, because this will enhance your problem solving abilities. You think creatively and find innovative solutions to your problem. Then enhance adaptability. You think about the environment. You don't live in a rigid environment. You try to be flexible in whatever you want to do. So you adapt immediately when a challenging situation comes your way. You adapt and you look for a way of managing that situation, because this life, especially social, the social construct that people have is not linear. It's not linear. It's not a rocket science. It's not a linear equation that you can just solve like that, because social problems is not linear. It's so complex. So which means you have to adapt to the situation you find yourself to solve certain problem. So this promotes adaptability, which is crucial in a dynamic environment like what we have in Nigeria now. It allows you to adjust to unexpected changes and find new way to accomplish your goals. You find new way to accomplish your goals. You don't abandon. You don't just be fed up when you encounter problem, or when you encounter challenges, or when you have a kind of hurdles that you need to cross. You learn how to cross that hurdles. That is what you do. You adapt immediately. For instance, you have an appointment for 10 o'clock to meet with 2 or 3 clients in that on that day, and you eventually, about 4 or 5 of them just come around and they want to see you. You should change your strategy to attend to all of them, because you can't drive them away. If you drive them away, you might create further problem for such clients who you have not listened to in the first place. So what you just do is just to manage your time. You can reduce the time you have allocated or you have allotted to the 2 or 3 that had earlier agreement with you before. So when you just adapt and change and ensure that the 4 or 5 people that have come, you try to attend to them. Then in that situation, you are not rigid. You become flexible. Then another benefit is improve well-being and mental health. When you solve problems, you are satisfied. It becomes gratifying when you try to solve problem of others. When you try to even overcome your challenges, it becomes gratifying to you, because you can now, it will be very easy for you to tell your success story to people, because you had a challenge and you've been able to overcome that. So in this case, you build emotional resilience, contribute to your overall building emotional resilience, contribute to your overall well-being and mental health, help to maintain a positive outlook. But when you are also healthy mentally in all respects, then you can also affect the life of other people, even in challenging times. For example, when you're facing a difficult and emotionally demanding situation, your resilience enables you to bounce back from setback and maintain a sense of optimism. It also reduces the risk of developing stress-related conditions and promote a healthier mindset. Positive influence of others. Remember, I talk about being a model for others to emulate. When you do well, others will want to look at you. When you are honest, when you are the one, you are a respecter of time. When you are a respecter of your clients, when your client has absolute confidence in you, when your client when your client knows that you, all the information he or she has shared with you, those information are well protected and those information are secured, that unauthorized person cannot get it from you. People want to look at you as a good model and they want to emulate you. So you're going to influence others positively when you have good emotional resilience. So what makes some people more resilient than others? You think of two people you know, who is very resilient and who is not. What are the differences? Self-belief. You understand yourself. You have that belief in yourself that you can achieve. You are not the one that is despair. You are not the one that is so pessimistic in everything. You still believe in your own, how do they call it? In your own ability. Take the destiny in your own hands and ensure that you are successful. So when you have that self-belief, there's that self-awareness, you should understand yourself. Understand yourself that this I can do. This I can. If that person can do that, I can also do this. So when you have that self-belief, so you have emotional resilience. Then purposefulness. What's the purpose of doing what you are doing? The adaptability and social support. I think I've explained self-belief. Having self-belief means having confidence in yourself and your abilities. Purposefulness, being purposeful means having a clear sense of your goals and the reason behind your work. You too have why am I doing this? Why do I need to do this? You know, when you are writing projects, you set what are the overall goal of your project, what are the specific objectives, what are those things you want to achieve. Then you come around to talk about the research questions, and those questions will answer the objective you have set. So I know by now you know the difference between goals and objectives. You know, objectives are specific in their nature, while goals, they are just goals are broader in sense, but objective, they are very specific. One of the goals of formal education is to have an egalitarian society. With the egalitarian society, you cannot just look at egalitarian society and see we have had an egalitarian society. It's not possible. But this goal has to be broken down into objectives, into specific terms. It is in the objective that you find specific terms of achievement of what you want to get. So that is when you can now say, okay, pupil or citizens will go through 6334 system of education. That is, anybody willing to go to school or to have formal education, so first of all, spend 6 years in primary school, 3 years in junior secondary school, 3 years in senior secondary school, and 4 years in the university. You see, you have broken that goal into that objective. So when citizens are going through various forms of this education, they will become different professionals. We have teachers, we have doctors, we have architects, we have engineers, and so on and so forth. So what they become, but they are still going, it means that what an engineer has access to is what a doctor will also have access to in the society. So by that, at the end of the day, at long run, we're going to have an egalitarian society where everybody is equal before the law. So you should understand that it is about understanding it is about understanding why you do what you do and staying focused on your mission. As a social worker, having purpose means knowing that your work is important and that you are making a difference in people's lives. It means staying committed to your purpose, even when faced with obstacles. Adaptability, I think I explained it the other time. You try to be flexible, you are not rigid. You change with the situations, and you're trying to adjust to changes. If, for example, if a person doesn't work as expected, being adaptable allows you to quickly adjust and find alternative solutions. You are working with colleagues who is not ready to work as you are working. You should look for colleagues, you should look for somebody that can even fill that gap and ensure that the objective of doing that work is achieved. Strategies to develop emotional resilience. I think this is what I think I've explained it. We talk about building self-awareness, you seeking support, building self-awareness. We have talked about that. Seeking support from people. You reach out to trusted colleagues, reach out to people, and can be of assistance. And of course, we talk about advocacy. If your work requires or your program requires you carry out an advocacy, you need to do that advocacy. That is seeking support. Developing a healthy coping mechanism. Engage in activities that promote relaxation and stress reduction. Not work all the time. You should have good how do I call it? Healthy lifestyles. Healthy lifestyle. You should imbibe. You should try and engage in those lifestyles that are healthy, that can be of help, like exercise, hobbies, spending time in nature, and so on and so forth. You don't always be in stress-induced environment all the time. Practicing positive thinking. Think positively all the time. Don't be pessimistic all the time. Always be optimistic that things will be better. Some people have destroyed themselves emotionally because of the situation we find ourselves in the country now. Some people's businesses are not going on the way it should, but this will not discourage them. Tough time never lasts. We will soon overcome this, and it becomes story of the past. So that is why you have to practice positive thinking. Even when people pray, even in religious houses, you see people, they have they always have negative concept about everything. Negativity is part of their life. Even when they pray, they always pray in the negative. Why do you have to pray in the negative? You pray in the positive way. Don't pray in the negative way. You pray in the positive way. When you pray in the positive way, I'm very sure you're going to achieve. Your prayer is going to be accepted, and your prayer will be taken as a very good one by Almighty God. But most people, or some people, or many, are found in praying in the negative way. Most of the times, we concentrate on our enemies. Sometimes we normally concentrate on our enemies. Why can't you pray in the positive way? Why do you have to concentrate on your enemy? You don't even know whether you yourself, you are the enemy of your own self. You don't even know. You don't even know that you are living with your enemy inside your room. You don't even know. So why don't you pray for something that can bring positive thing in your life? Then setting realistic goals. I talked about goals and objectives the other time. In setting goals, you use broader terms to set goals that are very difficult to achieve, that you cannot see it being achieved. But when you set objectives, you become specific. And one of the principles of objective is for the objective to be achievable and realistic. There's a difference between, or there's difference between being objective being achievable and objective being realistic. There are objectives that are achievable. Many of them are achievable, but they are not realistic. For instance, let me go to the recent happening in the country. The labor unions, they are agitating for 615,000 naira per month as a minimum wage, isn't it? If you consider one is is achievable. It's achievable. If government want to pay, it's achievable. Government has resources to pay. But are you sure that is realistic? It's not realistic. Many of the governments, subnational, cannot pay. Many at present don't even pay 30,000 minimum wage. How do you expect them to pay 650 minimum wage? You know, that one is not realistic at all. If they can use, it means that they will use all the resources of the country to pay workers alone. And when you pay workers and they cannot work, what's the essence of that payment? You see, that one is achievable, but it's not realistic. That is number one. It's also another example is, okay, you want to establish a rehabilitation center. Having a rehabilitation center, maybe in your state or in your environment or in your community, you know, is quite achievable. But you yourself, what you have as your resources cannot even pay for a rent, or you cannot even pay for a shop in a rented apartment. Your resources. So it means that it's quite possible for you to build that rehabilitation center or to build a clinic in your neighborhood, but it's not realistic because you do not have that resources to support it. But if you go out to rent an apartment or to rent a shop, a room apartment, maybe outside, maybe at 20,000 naira per month, which means in a year you're going to pay 20,000 times 12 is how much? That is 240,000 per year. Yeah, I think is that one not better than you starting a gigantic project that you know you don't have resources to support it. Then you talk about embracing flexibility. You are no more rigid. This will ensure that you embrace flexibility, that when you know that in this life, not everything will go according to plan. It's not possible because this is not a record science. Social construct, the way we are constructed socially is different. It's so complex that it's not linear at all. So be open to adapting and adjusting your strategy when needed. For example, if a community engagement program encounters unexpected obstacles, be flexible and explore alternative approaches rather than becoming discouraged. Being adaptable allows you to navigate challenges more effectively. Practicing self-care. Don't forget yourself. Don't forget yourself. Don't neglect your own health. Don't neglect your own care while you are caring for others. That is important. That is when emotionally you can be resilient. Ensuring quality service delivery in social work. So we talk about how do you ensure quality service delivery in social work. We talk about continual professional development, like you are doing now. Apart from this, I explained to you the other time that we will engage on continual professional development training, mandatory professional development training, and it's continuous. Every year we organize such workshop, we organize training for our members, they attend. And aside that, we also have conferences where new things are made known to members, because members across the board, from the academics, from anywhere, from everywhere, we converge at the conference and we exchange ideas. So in this process, we learn. So that continual professional development ensure that we have a continuous training. Then supervision and consultation. Don't hesitate to link up with your colleagues who you know knows more than you know, or who has an expertise in the area where you are working. So don't hesitate to do that. Social workers will seek supervision and consultation from experienced and knowledgeable professionals. Use of evidence-based practice. Social workers will incorporate evidence-based practices into their intervention. The practice that has been tested, the practice that have been successful, the strategies that have been used over and over and is yielding results. Don't hesitate to make use of them. You know, they must have been documented very well. Don't hesitate to make use of those practice-based evidences. This one will boost your morale and this one will improve your competency, and this one will also ensure that you have an effective and quality service delivery. Then cultural competence. When I was explaining the regard the other time, when you give people regard, it means an extension of that is that acceptance of cultural beliefs of others without condition, without controlling them, uncontrolled acceptance of other religious beliefs. When you accept them, you accept their religious belief. That does not make you their religious or their cultural belief. That does not make you to be part of their culture, but you have an empathy. You share their feelings. When you do that, you give them regard. So as a social worker, your cultural competence is very, very important, because it's not necessary that you work within your cultural within your cultural environment. Social worker need to be culturally competent and sensitive to the diverse background and experiences of their clients. They should actively strive to understand their client cultural beliefs, values, and practices. Cultural competence helps social worker develop rapport, establish trust, and provide appropriate and effective services to diverse populations. When you have that, it means that you possess that facilitative quality in communication, because when you have cultural competence, you can communicate very well with them, and they see you as part of them, and that is a regard for them, and it's one of the facilitative qualities that a social worker must possess. Client-centered approach. Whatever we do, your clients will be at the center. You should focus on the client. What does my client tend to gain? What does he seem to enjoy in this intervention or in this relationship? Your focus to be on your client. Then monitoring and evaluation is an important aspect that we should not take with levity. You try to monitor what you have done, how far you have gone. You monitor every stage of your intervention phase, and you evaluate at the end of every cycle. Have I been able to meet my objectives? Have I been able to achieve all the objectives set? Have I been able to overcome all the challenges? Have I been able to solve the problem in issue I put across or I have in mind to solve? So you need to monitor, and you need to evaluate as well. So importantly, you should have a unit. You should have a unit that should be in charge of monitoring and evaluation, which is going to be a separate unit from the service or the program unit of any establishment where you are, or any area where you practice. There should be a monitor and evaluation unit. You put some people in that aspect. They're trying to monitor and assess your performance. They monitor your performance. They try to evaluate your performance, whether you are making progress or you are not making progress. This unit will let you know. So if you are making progress, you get to know. If you are not making progress, you know what to do. If there is any gap you have been able to bridge, they will let you know. If those gaps are widening again, then you know what to do about that. I want to believe with this little. Then we have ethical practice. Whatever you do to follow the ethics of the profession. Just think about it. If you want to engage in any act, just flash back to the ethics of the profession. Flash back to the act that established the institute. Flash back to all the ethical considerations that we have in social work. Am I in line with what we have as our ethics? You ask yourself those questions and you answer the questions yourself. Because if they are not in line with the ethics of the profession, you know you are going to bear the brunt. May Almighty God save us. So I want to believe with this little I've been able to tell you this morning. We can stop at this, and I can pause at this point and allow you to ask questions and make comments and remarks if there is any. Thank you so much for your rapt attention. And that has taken us to the end of the lecture and the end of the whole thing. So we have to find time to do revision when there is that opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. We celebrate you, sir.
So
Thank you,
I
sir.
appreciate you
Thank
too.
you,
So we
sir.
have
Thank you,
questions.
We are
sir.
grateful.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You are welcome. So if you have questions,
Thank you, sir.
you have the opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. You have the opportunity to ask questions now or comments. Just raise your hand. Let me see your hands and I can respond. Okay.
Hello, sir. Can I ask question?
No, Wala, please go ahead.
Yes, my name is Adeyunju, sir.
Yeah.
I sincerely appreciate the quality of the knowledge we are gaining from the class. I just want to ask on the issue of attendance. I hope the attendance are properly taken because some of us are actually not making comments. I hope that will not be a basis for saying that we're not present in the class.
No. You already the ICT, the IT will have taken your attendance. Your attendance, like I have here, is 50 here, and the IT has the names of those who attended, so it's automatically recorded. The number of participants is automatically recorded. All right, Melvin, I can see your hand.
Oh yes, good morning, sir. Thank you very much for the amazing lecture, sir. So my own input, sir, will just be that I don't know, whenever we experience trying times as social workers too, it's not easy because we are humans too. So, and I don't know if we could also ensure that every like a watchdog on everybody just to ensure that we are self and mentally competent in trying situations. So I don't know if that is permissible in the social work practice, and so you shouldn't be like it is a nosy thing. Sure, you understand, sir. I don't know if that is also because sometimes we solve other people's problem and it seems as if we don't have our own problems too. So I don't know
Yes,
your
I'm with you.
yes, sir. I don't know if you can help us, throw more light on that, sir.
Yes, if I get you that we should keep eye on the problems of ourselves too. That for the social workers having challenges, that there should be a mechanism to solve their own problem as well. Is that what you mean?
Yes, sir.
Or all right. Well, you will notice that social work is like imagine a professor in Nigeria, whereas it shouldn't be. So definitely we are also humans, and we also face a lot of challenges. And we are going through this course. We are going this social work proficiency class for us to also build more skill in addressing this. And in our act as well, that is in the law establishing the institute, we have a section that actually deals with setting up of although that one has to do with sanctions and penalties, but at the same time the point you have raised is a good one, that we also need to look at ourselves and even solve our problems. But before we do that, we need to also also take the ball by the horn in our own case, that is our own destiny. We should take it in our own hand as well. Every social worker should, as much as possible, do things in relation with others. What I mean is that we have our colleagues around wherever we are. When we associate with our colleagues, for instance, if we have social workers in River State and we have a forum where we meet, when we meet regularly, there will be opportunity for some of us to know ourselves very well. Some of us will be friends, some will be colleagues at work like that. So we get to know when any of the social worker is having challenges, and they can easily rally around and help him or her overcome such challenge. It means that such an individual will not keep the challenge to himself or herself. He will relate such challenge with others, at least with his colleague, like we discussed. That there should be consultation, there should be supervision and consultation. Other social workers will look after another social worker in his vicinity or in his workplace or around him, so that you can provide him with right guidance and right help at the appropriate time, using all the principles that we have actually established this morning. I want to believe if you can do that, we'll go a long way in solving our own problems. What I'm saying in essence is that when wherever we are, we should not practice in isolation. You should identify with your peers, with your colleagues. Even if you are in River State, ensure that you register or you participate in the activities of the state chapters of the institute. You mingle with them, you mix with them, and you share experiences in some of your meetings, and this will go a long way in helping us. We're going to help others. So everyone will become a helping hand to another person. So I want to believe with that we'll get over it. Thank you. Change your Auntie, change your silver. Can you mute your mic?
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, I want to believe I've been able to answer your question to some extent.
Yes, sir. I also want to input the fact that the associations, the national associations, can also do better. I don't know in this case or scenario.
All right.
Yes.
No, yes, I think I mentioned it that at the national level we can do better. If the state is vibrant and the state can the state reports that properly, then and we know that the state cannot handle it, it's beyond the state capacity, the national will definitely come in. Just last week we had a similar experience, just like you mentioned, but I will not be specific. A particular state chapter where there was an issue about state chapter. So immediately we got wind of that. We had a national meeting with them, and with that meeting, using social work experiences and using our principle, we are able to nip that problem in the bud, and everything became settled. And the aggrieved parties, or the concerned parties, they were all happy with the way we handle that challenge, and everything has become the things of the past now. So thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome, sir. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I can see your hand.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, madam.
Lecture. My question is, when you observe, you find out that even the issue of mental health-wise, people break down issue or the other. All these things are a result of social issue. At the society, you find out that work is not. My question.
Okay, your question, please. Sorry, I just lost your audio. Can you repeat? Can you repeat your last statement?
I said that when you see things, both mental issue, substance abuse,
Yes.
things as social issue, social problems of the community. Find out that the social works, the influence, most of them do not have social workers. So my and my national should campaign social work because they're supposed to be doing a want to sensitize organization, the community, the social work because in this country as a result of social problem. So this is my own plea that the body of social workers should be more insensitive of social work so that people will should also improve that.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ifeoma. Yes, I quite understand that the social workers as a group or the institutes as an established as an recognized group should try to sensitize social workers on their responsibilities and even sensitize the society about the menace, social menace that we have in the society, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So even though we have our own challenge, but where we have our chapters, they do some of this, but we're going to intensify on that. It's a good point and it's noted. We're going to intensify on that. And when you become full-blown member of the institute, this is what you should do wherever you reside or in your state of operation. So you join the chapter, the institute chapter in your state. When you join them, this at your own level, you can do it so that at the state level, this could be part of your own activities as well. You may involve yourself in sensitization. You know, every June 26th of every year, I think that's the day there is a campaign. It's a day to celebrate campaign against drug substance abuse, if I'm right. So you can organize at your state level and try to sensitize maybe secondary school student or students in primary and secondary school on the menace of substance abuse and the consequences of doing that in the society. And this could be your own contribution as social worker, or you can get yourself together as a group and take it as a project with your colleagues or with some of your colleagues that of like minds, and this will even stem the bad thing in the society. Thank you. I appreciate that. Any other question?
Yes, sir. Mine is an appeal, sir. Hello, sir.
Go ahead,
Hello,
please.
sir. Yes, sir. Please, my appeal is like we talked about keeping records and documentation. Like some of us in most offices, they will request a kind of official notification on what we are doing. Is it possible for us to have an official notification of this workshop, which we can always present to our offices, because they might demand from the beginning the trainings and the workshop we have attended before the induction. So please, I'm appealing if it is possible for us to have such a notification we can submit to our organizations. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, notification for this training.
Yes, sir.
Okay, please, do you have the contact of the coordinator? That is not a problem. You can please get across to Atere so that that correspondence you can make it available to you.
Okay, sir.
I think that can be a problem. So whatever, if there is, let me know the development after you must have contacted him, so that I can know what to do. I can know area I can intervene. So, but get in touch with him first.
Okay, sir.
And when you also when you have a documentation with your employer, always ensure that you also have your own personal files while you keep things, copies of what you submit to your employer. I wouldn't know whether you understand what I mean. So you should have your own personal file. It could be a flimsy file on your desk. Because at times when you want to access the official document, bureaucracy may not even allow you to get it on time. But when you have your own copy, when you have your own file, you can easily refer to it and then move on. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I think I've answered if you ma. Oluwa fi Kemi. I can see your hand.
Okay, sir. Oluwafeyikemi Adeniyi.
Oluwafeyikemi Adeniyi, right?
Yes,
Thank you.
Adeniyi, sir. Yes, I
Okay,
want to
thank
add
you.
more to that, what that woman just said now about
All
the
right.
notification. Because there are some organizations like where I work, there's some organization that if we did not send a notification of a program being done, at the end of the day, by the time we bring the certificate about the course, they
It will
don't
not be
usually
recognized.
recognize. It depends that they will tell us we did not inform the management before embarking on this. So that is highly appreciated if the coordinator can help us to have a notification for this program.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you for that addendum. I will also notify him. So, but you can also make that request from him. No problem. Thank you. Somebody else raised his or her hand. I cannot see again. Who again? Okay, I've answered. Any other comments? At least class is large today. So if there is no other comment, next, I don't know, when is your exam? I cannot even remember. When is your exam? I think you have next week again for another lecture, isn't it?
Our exam starts by 14th of June.
It's 14th of June. So
but next week seems to be for presentations.
When?
Next week, I suppose, is for presentations.
Okay, so we are on right course by concluding today.
I think maybe it's appropriate to assume that way, but you may wish to speak with them, maybe Mr. Tere, to find out.
Okay, no problem. I will get in touch with him, and he will also notify us anyway. So if you have the opportunity, you can before the exam. We'll find time to do revision. We'll do revision briefly before you write the exams. But ensure that everything. If you know you are lost in certain area, go back to the recordings and listen carefully to the recordings. Everything I have discussed with you, they are very, very important. And I believe they will be of help to you during the exam and after the exam while you are practicing too. I want to thank you most sincerely for your time, and I appreciate you all the time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much,
Thank
sir.
you. You are welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right. So thank you, and God bless you too.
And you too.
Amen, sir. And you too, sir.
All right.
Have a nice weekend, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I appreciate you too. So bye bye.
Sir, please help us with the materials of this course.
Thank you, sir.
You already have the material. Who is asking? Who is asking for the material?
Of this course.
Who is that? If you ma who is asking?
The materials.
Sorry, it's not. Okay, the material is already on the platform.
Please, what
Ask
is
your
the
colleagues.
nature? How is the nature of the exam, sir? Please. Is
The
it
nature of the
online
exam.
or yes?
It's
The nature
online.
of the
It's
exam
online.
is okay, sir.
It's
All
online
right.
and it's OBJ.
Okay,
So which
sir.
means you have to pay attention to specifics. You know, it's
Exactly.
subjective. Because you may not have the time to express yourself and begin to tell story that by the time you move from A, before you read F, you must have hit the answer. But this is a different thing. It is in essay when you tell stories, at the end of the day, you may hit the answer. But in this case, is answer straight. When you miss it, you miss.
Okay, sir.
And I want to assure you that it's going to be well, because I want to see all your faces. I want to see all your faces at the induction.
All right, sir. Thank you.
So that's my prayer. No problem.
Thank you, sir.
Please, where is our induction going to take place? Which state, sir?
Oh, that's a very good question.
Also state is hosting.
Hello, sir. Which state our induction is going to take place?
I want to believe when you finish on time, also state will host the conference. It is at the conference that we do the induction.
Okay, sir. Okay.
All right, sir.
Sir, can't we do it in our state?
Yeah.
But, sir, I have a question to ask, sir.
Outside the class, ba?
No. I can ask here,
No.
sir.
Okay.
Now, the induction, like how much are we going to pay, sir?
That one, I don't know. The secretariat will determine that.
Okay, what about the last set, last year? How much?
Honestly, I'm not in the program. I'm not in that section. So those in the department will determine. I cannot even remember. I'm sorry, I can't remember. Honestly, being honest with you, I can't remember. But I know it's not going to be. It's not going to be overbearing, and it's not going to be too costly.
All right, sir.
You know, we are social workers. We should encourage ourselves. We should not behave as others do now.
Okay, sir.
It's all right. Thank you so much. So until when we have the opportunity of meeting again, stay blessed. Bye-bye.
You too, sir.
Bye.
Bye-bye, sir.
Bye-bye, sir.